Guys in the room. Today we're going to talk about presenting well on video. Our main man Tom's here, Jamie, Alexandra, Tara, how you doing today? How's everybody doing? It was Mother's Day this weekend. We appreciate all those moms out there. I appreciate my own mom. Tom, I wanted to start off. I'd like to go to you and think about, it was Mother's Day. Last week we talked about that you are having a beautiful little baby, Isla, I believe the name was. Is there a moment or a thought on your mom, like overarching theme of your mom in your life?
Well, all right, first of all, you're right. To clarify, I'm not having a baby. My wife, Becky, is the one doing the majority of the work. Up to this point, she's 32 weeks. Today, I actually just got back from a doctor's appointment. We just had an ultrasound today, so I was there. I was there for that, and then it was funny because Becky had a follow-up appointment with her an OBGYN after, which is usually not a big deal or typically not a big deal. So she said, come for the scan. You can feel free to jet as soon as that's done. So I did. And then she texted me when she got out of that appointment and said, it was a good thing you left because it was completely like sort of a useless appointment. Essentially, she sat there and talked to the doctor, and at the end of the day, or like she waited for the doctor, I should say, and the doctor came in and said, "Do you have any questions?" And she said no, and the doctor said, "Okay, everything looks great," and that was the whole appointment. So I guess good news. But yeah, I mean, I think the thing is for me, like what comes to mind when you when you think about moms and Mother's Day is kind of universally, the amount that moms, in particular, really sort of make sacrifices for their kids, right? And I think that's a pretty universal thing. Some mothers more than others. I think probably some mothers go farther than they need to in terms of sacrificing for their kids, but and sacrifice a little bit of their own identity along the way, and maybe that's not the best thing in the world. But yeah, I mean, all mothers make a tremendous amount of sacrifice for their kids, and I think it's very appropriate that we have a day recognizing all the things that moms do for their kids. So at the end of the day, I'm a grown guy. I'm 45 years old. We got a baby on the way. I'm about to be a dad. But I'll always be a kid to my mom. I'll always be my mom's kid. So yeah, always worthwhile. My mom's out of town right now, so I wasn't able to see her over the Mother's Day weekend, but I definitely called and chatted with her for a while. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Mother's Day. Oh, you're on mute, buddy.
Well, that's not cool. We're going to talk about presenting well on video today. I'll double back and just say, for my wife is spectacular mother to her kids, and as you said, does give up a ton to just try to do everything for them, and sometimes probably without much appreciation from them, or in the moment appreciation. But my mom was a strong. Here's what my overarching theme I will give on my mom: loved me to death. Loved me to death, loved her family to death, gave up a ton for us and seemed to get so much reward out of it. But the thing that I learned from my mom, as sweet as she was, people would say that, like, I'll meet people and she bought them McDonald's or bought them school supplies. Like, and I don't even know. But my mom, as sweet as she was the staunchest defender of her family. So here's this sweet woman. She would go to war. I mean, like with anybody, and almost fist if she thought we were slighted in any way or treated as less than. So that's what I'll go with, Mom. Thanks, Mom. All right, let's get on to this. So presenting well on video. We happen to have Tom here. That is, if nobody knows, Tom spent a year, 20 some years. I sometimes I say 30 years as in all phases of production and show running and looking and presenting well on video. So two-time Emmy nominated. I guess if we're going to talk video, Tom, we should go to you first and give us, I mean, we could dig into this topic a million ways. And so when I came to you, I said, well, Tom, how do you look good on video? And you said, well, Tom, it's more than just looking good on video. So let's start there, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely, Dom. Thanks. Yeah, and thanks for the correction. Not 30 something years. I've been in production for it'll be 20, it actually is 23 years this month. So I graduated from college on Mother's Day in 2001. And 8 days later, I started my first job in production in television in the entertainment industry. And yeah, as you said, I spent 17 years in the entertainment industry before I left that world behind to branch out on my own and start my own business, working with businesses and organizations to help them communicate more effectively with the communities that they seek to serve. Yeah, and during my time in television and entertainment, I started out as a production assistant, so I was the guy fetching coffee and taking lunch orders and carrying around heavy cases of gear. But by the end of that career, I was a showrunner and series producer, so I was overseeing series-wide production of television shows, so managing multi-million-dollar budgeted productions for production companies and networks like NBC Universal, the BBC, Discovery, family of networks. So yeah, and proud to say that the content I've created has been, broadcast globally and viewed definitely in the hundreds of millions, if not billions of times around the world. So I've spent a little bit of time trying to make people look good on video. Yeah, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of things to kind of keep in mind. And I'm going to try not to get super nerdy about it, but I think really the way you approach looking good and presenting well on video, because it's more, like I said to you, it's more than just looking good, right? It's about how you sound, it's about how you speak, it's about what you say, and it's about how you look, right? So you could have the best cameras in the world with an expert behind the camera setting it up for you, and you could look amazing. But if you don't have something good to say and nobody can hear you say it, doesn't really matter, right? The best camera in the world isn't going to save you. So what I always like to do is I always like to think audience first, right? And that's kind of something I was taught from my days in television, and something I think businesses and organizations and people who represent them, even if you're just trying to build a personal brand, miss is they don't think audience first, right? So I think the first key to presenting well on camera is figuring out who you're talking to and what you can bring to them that they want or need, right? Through the content that you're creating or through you being on camera, right? So that's the sort of first key is message, right? Who are you talking to? What you can deliver for them. And then I think then after you've figured that out, you decide, you work on the sort of the technical side of things, right? Which is making sure you sound good and look good, because most importantly, if people can't hear you when you're speaking, it really doesn't matter what you're saying, right? So once you've got the message figured out, then you got to make sure people can hear you, and then you got to make sure they can see you clearly. So it kind of goes in that order. So if you want to present well, right, on camera, first you got to think about your message, then you got to make sure people can hear you, and then you got to make sure you look good. right? So it kind of runs counter to what a lot of people think when they hear like, oh, presenting on camera. Their first thought is like, how do I look? Is my makeup good? Am I dressed well? Like, am I shiny? Right? Like, are my teeth clean? Do I have something in my teeth? Right? Like those kinds of things go to people's minds first, but actually you're kind of doing it bass backwards, as my mom would say. You're doing it bass backwards, right? Like you got to come at it from the audience's perspective first, and then make sure that people can hear you, and then make sure people can see you, right? So that's kind of like, that's the process I would encourage people to follow when it comes to presenting well on camera.
Tom, so let's say I want to make first video. So I will hear from people sometimes that say, oh, I want to make a video, but I don't want to just be on my phone. I want it to look like a full production. I want to be better than the other people. And I'm like, you haven't made one video yet. And you don't know your message and you can't get it down to 30 seconds. Where should somebody start? Where should that person start? The person that thinks they see CBS Mornings and want to be that when they haven't even put their phone up and made 30 seconds yet.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you have to, first of all, I think you have to be fair in your comparisons, right? And I've talked about this before. People, I think it does two things. Like one, it can, on the one side, it can create unreasonable expectations. So if people compare themselves to somebody who has the benefit of the financial backing and the resources to be in a studio, right? And somebody who does this professionally, who presents on camera professionally, right? If you're just getting started and you're comparing yourself to somebody like that, it's not a fair comparison, right? So on the one hand, you shouldn't expect that you'd be able to deliver anything that would approach what they're doing, right? You have to be fair and realistic with yourself. But second of all, you also aren't necessarily talking to their audience, right? Like they're presenting in a particular way for their audience. So again, like unless you're trying to start a news program, right, you shouldn't be comparing yourself to a news program, right? And if anything, I would say, the comparison should be rather than broad, they should be narrow, right? So if you want to compare yourself in a particular way to someone, right? If you want to compare, your delivery to camera, okay, right? That's a narrow comparison. That's fair, but it shouldn't be a broad comparison unless you're sort of a direct competitor doing essentially the same thing as someone else. And if you find yourself in a position where you're essentially doing the same thing as someone else, then the next thing I would say to you is, should you be doing the same thing as somebody else, or should you maybe go back and figure out how you can make it uniquely your own, right? So yeah, I mean, I think that's like, be fair in your comparisons, right? I think that's kind of the big message there, is don't compare yourself to people that it's unreasonable to compare yourself to, right? If you're just starting out, don't compare yourself to somebody who's a pro, right? Like the first time you pick up a golf club, you're not going to compare yourself to Tiger Woods. That's crazy. It doesn't make any sense, right? And that's an extreme example because Tiger Woods is the GOAT of golf by some estimations, right? Like he is one of the greatest of all time for sure in terms of his play. So like, you can't, it's not a fair comparison at all to make to yourself. Even if you're an experienced amateur golfer, it's not a fair comparison, right? So like, be realistic in your comparisons and be fair to yourself. I think that's a big thing. Tara, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you can talk this morning, I know you're often wrangling your little ones this time of day. So let us know, give us a flash or throw something in the comments if you can't chat. But if you can, we'd love to hear your thoughts. I know you work in production as well, and you got some thoughts on this. So let me know if you can chat. I'm going to take
Tom,
that as a no.
Okay, so yeah, and Tara, if you can, just comment down on the side. And anybody watching on LinkedIn, feel free to comment, ask a question. We're coming, John Jay. Hey, what's up, Jimmy? Those are a few of the people listening live here on Clubhouse. So, a vanity question for you, Tom. Let's go back to what I originally asked you. Let's say looking good on video. So there will be times, or in video could be a camera too. There will be times where I see you in your cat suit. Yeah, that's what I say. Tom's running suit. Tom's out in his biking, he wears a certain outfit. Or me and I wear V-necks when I'm out running and stuff, like a big white T-shirt, because that is what you need to wear running, your suit. And I wear the white V-neck, and I might do a video or something like that and be like, hey, this is me. So my question, Tom, is tell me about showing up on camera from an authenticity point of view.
Sure. So first things first, I'm going to push back, as I usually do, on the cat suit. It is like, I don't even know when you say that, people are like picturing, at least, I don't know, people our age, right, are probably picturing like Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman.
Check.
Yes, check. And to be perfectly clear, first of all, I don't wear clothing like that when I run. So like, that's a complete misnomer. You're totally conflating the facts there. I do not wear any sort of skin tight clothing when I run. If I'm going out for a run, I'm in shorts and a shirt, right? Depending on the weather, sometimes pants and a jacket, right? Like,
but if you're in a tri, don't you wear the same thing the whole time?
Yeah. And do you know what it's called? It's called a triathlon suit.
Okay.
Right? It's not called a cat suit. It's not long sleeved and long legged. It doesn't have a headpiece, right? Like, it's not a cat suit. It's a triathlon suit. And the idea is that it's designed to function in all three all three parts of the event, right? So in the swim, in the bike, and in the run.
Okay. So you're, as a runner, as an Ironman, this is what you should be wearing. So, right. And I show up how I think I'm comfortable with. So tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, and so one more thing, I wear tri-suits sometimes in training, right? But only in race specific training. And I really only wear them in races other than that. Right. So there's that. The other side too is I wear cycling clothes when I'm cycling, because that makes sense. And I wear running clothes when I run, and I wear swimming clothes when I swim, right? Like, so you wear the equipment for the event you're doing. And then in terms of, authenticity, when I show up, if I'm creating a vlog, like, I started another vlog this year for my training for this Ironman, because things are going to get interesting in about a month or a little over a month when the baby comes. In 6 to 8 weeks when the baby shows up, most likely, like, things are going to get a little interesting in terms of my training. And so it'll be fun to see how things go. But in terms of showing up authentically there, like, sometimes I'm in my cycling clothes. Like, would I choose to go out in public in that outfit? Like, generally speaking, like, if I'm not riding my bike, absolutely not. Like, it's skin tight, Lycra, right? Like, because that's what cycling clothes are, right? Because for a number of reasons, like, one of which is you don't want a whole bunch of stuff flapping around you all the time to get hung up, to get caught up. It actually gets really annoying, that sound of flapping clothes as you're riding a bike. Like, if you're spending hours and hours on a bike, gets really annoying. So there's a whole host of reasons, but, like, at the end of the day, I'm wearing the appropriate clothing for the activity that I'm doing, in the same way that you would wear, like, you're not going to go put on a suit to hop in a pool, right? It doesn't make any sense. And so similarly, I wear what I'm wearing, but the flip side of that is I don't try to hide it, right? Like, I'm wearing skin tight. Like, would I normally take a picture and post it on the internet of me in, like, skin tight clothing? No. Out in any other context, I would never ever do that. I don't own any clothing that's tight like that that I wear in any other context, right? It's only in the context of the athletic pursuits that I'm involved in. So, but that said, I'm happy and perfectly comfortable to post that stuff on the internet and share it, because it's authentic, right? It's true to who I am and what I'm doing at that time. Contextually, it makes sense. So that's like, from my perspective, that's really important, right? That authenticity, that level of authenticity, really makes a big difference. And people recognize it, right? Like, I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm not trying to pretend I'm something other than I'm not, right? Like, I don't change clothes for when I'm, if I'm going to film a vlog on the bike. I don't suddenly throw something else on, so I'm not wearing, my cycling clothes. I am who I am. I am what I am all of the time. And I don't try to hide that. And I would encourage other people to kind of take the same approach, right? Because ultimately, that's what resonates with people, is that level of authenticity. I heard somebody say recently that, like, they largely attribute the success of podcasting, right, as a medium, as a genre, to the fact that people in podcasts are generally pretty authentic, and that level of authenticity is really what has led the medium to explode the way it has. I mean, you think about it, podcasting has been around a relatively short period of time in context, but it's really blown up because people tend to be incredibly authentic on their podcasts, and in the interviews and conversations they have on podcasts. And so I think that's a really important thing. I'm sure John Wiley has something to say about that too, with his time spent on radio and syndicated radio, and approaching authenticity. So how do you present authentically, John? How do you tackle what can sometimes be a sticky issue for people?
Well, it's because they, from what I was taught, they overcomplicate it. They don't understand what authenticity really means. And really, what it means is don't lie about who you are, because your listeners will catch it. It might not be right away, but they'll catch it later on, and it'll be over something obscure that you didn't even remember. So when you do, what you do is you create an on-air personality or on-air persona where you know your role. You know your role as a broadcaster, or you're creating a show, whatever it might be. And what I do, what I was taught to do, is use elements of your personality that are true. You can exaggerate the really good stuff. You can downplay the good stuff. You can exaggerate the really bad stuff. You can downplay it, but to sound larger than life. And that way, you're always going to be saying the same thing. You're consistent. What I'll say is this: the best thing for people to remember is something that's been told to me for years: is everything about you is not for everybody every time. So when you're doing a show, whatever it is, remember the production element first and foremost. Who's consuming your show? Then you as a personality, what is your role? And when I think of authenticity that way, it makes my role a whole lot easier. And I don't have to ad lib, and I don't have to worry about filling in spots and get all that imposter syndrome and all that other BS. Now, before we go further, I'd love to hear. I love the cat suit analogy, by the way. um, do you know right now? Someone brought this up in another room. You know, right now on stage in Clubhouse, I don't know about Tara, but you have 3 international best-selling authors included: Dominick, Tom, and myself, from the book Creative Con. That's no small achievement. So I'm not saying you need to say what we're doing, take what we say to heart, but I'm saying is that these 3 people, not including myself, really know what they're talking about. And even though we may disagree at times, they bring great points to the table.
John, man, thanks for that. I appreciate your going down the authenticity role. And yeah, we are experienced here. I mean, Tom's got all the years in production. I've helped hundreds of people write books and share their story. I have a TV show that's on in 8 states. And when I go out and do it, I am myself. So I will wear the V-necks. Me and my buddy screw around. We make fun of each other. And sometimes some of the feedback, I'll meet somebody in Walmart or something that watches the show, and they'll say, "Hey, you know what I like how you and your friend really mess with each other." Yeah, we do mess with each other, and John, to be like characters, we are messing with each other. That is real. on the show, I might take it harder than I would really take it harder in real life. That's something.
That's good.
Yeah, right. That's part of, okay, when Dave makes fun of me, I might take it a little more personal then. But that's just all part of figuring out who that character is. So well said, man. Love having you here. So let's continue this. Tom, I think one of the things me and Tom are trying to do is make sure that we let everybody know that we're appreciative if you stop by here for 10 seconds, an hour every week, if you share something, if you come up on stage, if you just come here and listen, if you we're trying to grow on LinkedIn. If you comment on LinkedIn or watch there, or on Facebook. A couple weeks ago, my cousin Cindy was watching on Facebook and commenting about her Uncle Rich. So the conversation, it would be me and Tom in a room arguing about what we wear when we're out biking if it wasn't for each of you. So I think we're thankful for that. So go on, Tom.
Can I? Hey guys. How you
Yeah, go ahead,
doing?
Tara. Tara, what do you got?
Well, I was just I'm counting money for my PTA. So being a mom right now, but I did want to kind of echo what John said. I think it is important to know the audience that you are trying to who your audience is, because there is an element of kind of being a chameleon in, like what John said, what you show of your person. Not everyone's going to like a specific part of you. But I think you have to learn who, even if it's somebody that you're working with, learn who they are, and then try to work. I don't know, it's like people read, try to work around what their I guess what their authenticity is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So like, I mean, yeah, I think I mean, tell me if I'm wrong here, but
Yeah.
what I'm getting is like basically what you're saying is, you have to be true to yourself, but you also have to make sure that you're kind of meeting your audience where they are too, right?
Right, exactly. I have a goofball part of me, but that I can't share all the time. You know what I mean? I can't always, the way you guys are interacting with each other and talking about cat suits, there's a place for that. You know what I mean? So, yes, you can be authentic, but to a point, based on your audience, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I totally get that. First of all, I just want to say, like, you are now the third person. Actually, all four people now have used the term catsuit, and I'm really annoyed at Dom about that. So let's just be being really authentic there. Super unhappy about that.
Well, you know what? I think, Tom, I want to applaud you, because I think you are one of the people who actually has one of the best personal brands that I've seen. You always look like Tom from Talex. You know what I'm saying? You always look, I think you're always you have a uniform, and you're always looking good on camera. So, other than I've never seen this, cat suit. So I don't know what Dom is talking about, but I just want to kudos you for your personal brand.
Thanks, Tara. I will accept that gladly. And I would say to you, you could hunt around through my vlogs, and I'd be curious to see what you think Dom's talking about, or if you think you can find it, because with what you're imagining and what you actually see me wearing, I'm not sure that people are ever going to find something that they would also call a catsuit. Dom is a little unique in the term.
All right. So Tara,
but
I'm going on TikTok right now. I'm going to share a Tom video. And I'll share it up in the link, and we will go down that road. So you do what you got to do, Tom. It is coming out. Go on.
All right, that's fine. I'm good with it.
Stalking now.
Yeah, go. I mean, feel free to check it out. You guys can let me know if you think it looks like a quote cat suit. which yeah, I vehemently disagree with. But I think, to your point, Tara, like I think it's really important when we talk about authenticity that you can be authentic and also be appropriate for the context, right? And I think that's an important thing, that being authentic doesn't mean necessarily not having a filter, right? And that often gets conflated, and people think that, oh, well, they can say anything and then just kind of fall back on their laurels of saying, well, I'm just being authentic. And it's like, yeah, just because you're being authentic doesn't mean it's appropriate, right? Those are two different things, and you have to be you should always be authentic, but you should always be authentic within the appropriate context for the situation that you're in, right? So like I would say something on like in a vlog, right, that I'd be happy to say to somebody's face, right, or in public generally, but I wouldn't say something that maybe would be a part of a private conversation between my wife and I, because it's not contextually appropriate, right? Like it doesn't make sense. And I think a lot of people conflate that. And I think we see a lot of that in some of the content that gets shared online, and then people get blowback, right? They say the quiet things out loud. Sometimes they let their intrusive thoughts come out of their mouths online, and then they get upset when there's blowback. And it's sort of like, well, what did you expect? You said something completely contextually inappropriate. People told you said something inappropriate, and then you're just going, well, I'm just being authentically me. It's like, yeah, well, authentically, people don't appreciate that about you. So like, they're just being authentic to themselves too. So like, yeah, you have to be contextually appropriate. It's like, you wouldn't show up to an interview, for a new job, wearing a bathing suit, right? Because it's not contextually appropriate. You would still be you, right, in that interview, and be honest with your answers, right, and true to yourself. But that doesn't mean that you have to wear a bathing suit because you love going to the beach, right? Like it doesn't make any sense. Or you have to wear a bathing suit because you want to get your base tan going, right, Dom? Right? Like, it's being contextually appropriate is important, I believe. Dom is still hunting for the right video. He's trying to find
the video. I found the video. Hey,
oh,
so
okay.
I'll make you a moderator. I found the video on Tom's TikTok of a yellow suit. So a yellow whatever Tom describes it as, a yellow and blue. Look, he's looking at me. But I can't figure out how to share that because it's a video. I can't figure out how to share it. So if anybody scroll back through Talex Media, Tom's in a yellow.
Screenshot it, download the image, and then post the image.
I can do that. Damn.
No, Dom, like it's a TikTok. Hit the little paper airplane, right? And then copy the link and post the link. Come on, man.
It's doing the video. Damn. This is too exciting. Hey, okay, let's continue on. I'll keep looking. You do your thing, Tom.
What do you mean it's doing the video? What are we talking about?
I was just going to say, well said, Tom.
Thanks, Tara. Thank you. I appreciate that. Tom, what are we stumbling over here? You said you were going to share the link. Share the link.
All right, I'm going back. I'll go back to remember. So for anybody that knows, about a year ago, we had a whole episode where my computer was down for about an hour, and that was me trying to upload it. So since then, there are times where there is a little tech issue on this end, admittedly, in full authenticity.
What? Hold on. What are you trying to upload? What are you talking about, man?
I'm trying to put it in the
copy
link.
and paste.
It is not copy and paste. I got to put it in the link. Pin link. So I got to pin link.
Okay. So you copy the TikTok link, and then you click pin link, and then you hit paste. That's it.
Damn you. All right, I'm on it.
Thing. Or just send it to me and I'll do it. I don't care. Like, but man, we can figure this out. This is not a technological hill we should die on here. Oh, there you go. Tara just posted a link in the chat. How do you like that? She's showing you up. I like having Tara here. I'm a fan. Anyway, while Dom tries to figure out how copy and paste works in 2024, you
bring it on now. See, Tom's cranky, so I got it. So any of you that don't know, this is real. I got it up there. So look at it and tell me what you think about this suit. And I see my friend Jeff Ravilla. John, you would love this guy, Jeff Ravilla. He just created a whole studio. He bought a whole building to do live streams, renting a building. He has a trivia show. If anybody wants to be on it, message down. We'll get you some. I've been a guest on the trivia show before. Jeff, what's the name of the trivia show? It's slipping my mind right now. It's the best, and Jeff's the best host. So he is always elevating storytellers. So anybody, look at the link. And now we're back to this. We're sidebar. Look at the link and tell me. Put it in the chat or whatever. What do we think? Tom took offense when I used the word cat suit. Sometimes you put your foot in your mouth. I guess I put my foot in the mouth, saying it's cat suit. You can call it whatever you want to call it. I mean, sometimes I'm the butt of jokes here. So anybody, if you watch this video, tell us your thoughts. Let's look at the bottom. Okay, Tara, who you write about Tara. She is a supporter of you. She says athletic suit. Okay, Tara's known Tom for like 40 years.
No, full disclosure. No, Tara and I have known each other about, I don't know, I'd say probably 4 or 5 years. Tara, that sounds probably right. Like we've kind of run into each other over the last 4 or 5 years, but
Yeah, I think so.
yeah. But yeah, in full disclosure, Tara works in production. Also, she works here in the Hudson Valley. She's a producer and coordinator, and yeah, we've
co-founder of the Cine Hub.
Yeah, and co-founder of Cine Hub, one of the local sort of multi. Go ahead, Terry.
Resource centers for film and video production.
There you go. I was going to say multifaceted media production houses was what I was.
We could put that at the as a header.
There you go. But yeah, so Tara and I have been running in the same circles here for the last few years since I started my business. So yeah, we tend to, we're mutually supportive here in the Hudson Valley. We like to back each other up. So I appreciate it, Tara. But yeah, athletic suit works. Tri-suit, right, is the technical term for it. That's what it's called. And I think if you watch the video, I literally say I'm wearing my tri-suit. So there's that too. But anyway, Dom, what do you got?
I was thinking about, I just wanted to double back on something John Jay said on this showing up authentically on video or on your podcast and showing parts of you. This is a point where we get into sometimes that, like me and Tom are big on sharing your stories, authenticity. Sometimes people get the vibe that we're saying, share everything. And I call that show up and throw up, where somebody wants to tell you their whole life story from A to Z. Well, that doesn't fit, but maybe E fits at this point. Some portion of it fits. Show up, and like I think John was getting to the point. Okay, find the part you want to show where it fits, but that piece is authentic. So like you could get me sometimes talking about fatherhood. Fatherhood is not something I talk about a lot because there's a lot of fathers better than me. And I wasn't always great, but in the space where we're talking about fatherhood, I would show up authentically and share the piece of fatherhood, whether it was how my dad raised me or a portion of what I wanted to share. There is no way in hell I'm going to share all the ups and downs of fatherhood, good or bad, and different from my dad or me to my son. I'm not going to do it. I'm never going to do it, but I'll share a piece, and that's what you get. That's how I will show up authentically in that space. So Tom, back to you, and then we'll go over to Julie. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, one of the things that, Becky and I've talked about, right, as we said when we started out here this morning, we've got a baby on the way. And we've had conversations about, like, because it's something you have to talk about as a parent, right? Coming in, bringing a kid into the world of 2024 is, are you going to share pictures online, right? And the thing we decided and we agreed on is, no, we're not going to. Right. We're not going to post pictures of our daughter all over the internet because at the end of the day, and especially not, there may be some pictures of us like as a family and things like that. Fine. Right. But there will definitely not ever be any pictures of her posted on the internet of like her in the bath, like even as a baby. right? Because like she's got no say in that. And we agree that we don't want to we don't want to fall into that trap, which is something that you see like kind of upsettingly, increasingly more and more of, is people who are leveraging their children, right, for personal gain, right? So they're leveraging their kids for personal gain, and it's sort of like the social media equivalent of like the old showbiz parents, right? Who like leveraged their kids for financial gain, who put their kids on TV and in commercials and acted as their agents and took their money. Not dissimilar to like what we saw happen with Britney Spears over the last couple of years with the conservatorship and all of that. That there's like it's kind of become rampant on social media that parents are leveraging their kids, for financial gain, and not that that's really necessarily an option for us, but we just decided, look, until she's old enough that she can weigh in, right, and say for herself, then there's really not going to be, she's not going to have a presence online. I'm sure we'll share the occasional family photo and things like that. It's not like we're doing a total boycott. No matter what, you'll never see a picture of her. We're not doing that. But we're just not going to share a ton of pictures of her because we just don't see it as a need, right? The one thing we did do is we got some smart picture frames for grandparents. So we're able to upload pictures to grandparents like on a regular basis and send pictures to them so they can see her, on a very regular basis, which is pretty cool because some of her grandparents live on the other side of the country. So we thought that was a great idea. But yeah, I don't know. That's just something we're gonna do, and to each their own. But yeah, it's just something that popped into my head. Coming off the tail of what you were talking about there, Tom. So wanted to share that. We got I think we've got just a minute, and then we'll go to show and tell. So maybe we'll go to Julie, and then we'll hit show and tell. How's that sound?
All right, Julie, we're talking about showing up on video. You help people. You're a publicist, you're a publisher, you're on video a lot yourself. So any thoughts, tips, or how-tos from you, Miss Loken, or how-to for your clients?
Well, I'm going to give Tom a little pushback. That's the reason why I had children, so I could make money by putting their image everywhere. And I'm just teasing, of course. The quite honest truth is that my kids hate it when I post any picture of them right now, so I hardly ever do. And I'm curious, and this is probably another topic, but with the way the internet's going, the way we're creating digital imprints, if we are putting all these pictures of our kids, that their identity could be stolen. Like there's so many weird things people do nowadays. I mean, that's a smart way, Tom. I would not, protect your daughter's image at all costs, for sure. And I love videos. That's all I've got to say about that. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you, Julie. You brought up something interesting, that nowadays so many young children so many people are into video. They see YouTubers, they see all this stuff. So a lot of our children might someday make a living in that world. So I do believe in encouraging them to do their thing safely, watching over once they get to a certain age. My son always liked to be behind the camera from a young age. He said, forget that, I'm not going out there. And then my daughter was the reverse, that wanted to just put on a show everywhere she could. And we'd have to be like, okay, Maddie, enough with the show. Tone it down. Tone it down a little bit. So that was my world. So Tom, what do you think? Should we do a show and tell?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's that time. It's exactly that time, actually. The clock just ticked over. And as you guys know, we're trying to stay more kind of on schedule and true to our format. So it is 10:15. It's time for show and tell. So while Dom grabs that, I'll just say thank you, everybody, for being here with us this week. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate you guys being a part of it. Glad that Tara was able to speak a little bit this week, that her house is a little quieter than it was last week, especially because she was backing me up on everything I was saying. So Always appreciate that. But yeah, glad to have you guys here. We'll get to you, Jason and Beth, in a second, right after Dom shows and tells us about something.
Okay, I think this is a good one because I feel like I'm on Tom's nerves a little bit today. So you will appreciate this that I think will agitate him even more. Today I'm going to show the greatest pair of headphones of all time. They work every time. For years and years, they've been with me. I've glued them at times. They don't fall off my head. So to me, they are perfect, and they weren't expensive. Although sometimes when I run down through the college that's here in my house, I'm a little bit embarrassed when the students are there because I'm thinking they're looking at this old guy with these funny headphones. But to me, here they are. Look at that one. It's ripping a little bit there. The most beautiful of running headphones. They work. They don't work on my bike anymore because I'm wearing my helmet now. But for running, they don't fall off. They're so good. I can hear. Sometimes these little Apple ones I can't hear. But with these, I can hear beautifully. Look, I glued them, used some super glue, but now it's falling off. I think I got to glue again. But man, I can look how cool I look, man. I'm like 80s exercise video. So the greatest pair of headphones that ever existed right here, Tom.
Yeah, they were inexpensive because they were free when you stole them from a Delta flight. Like, that's what they look like. They genuinely, I actually had that thought when I saw you posted a picture wearing those the other day. And I actually genuinely had that thought was, I wonder what airline he stole those from, right? Because they look like they're like in shape, like in form factor, they look like the free headphones they used to hand out before they went to the earbud design, right? The ones that they would hand out that you had to give back at the end of the flight. They would come around and collect them at the end of the flight. Probably about 10, 15 years ago, they used to do that. That's what they look like to me. They look like free airline headphones. And hey, man, like, look, if they work for you, that's great. I think the only thing I would add is the best pair of running headphones to you. Because I think objectively, and if you broaden outside of just Dom's world, right? Just even by like a couple of people, that sentiment would quickly shift, and that you would find that those were no longer believed to be the best running headphones in the world. And look, a lot of people have a lot of differences of opinion there. The running headphones that I use, I don't have them in front of me and I can't show them to you. But they're bone conducting headphones. So they don't actually go in my ear. They kind of sit like just in front of my ears, right against your skull there, like right in front of your ears. And they work fantastically. And the nice thing is, because they're not in your ears or covering your ears, they don't block the sound around you. So you can hear whatever you're listening to great, but you can also hear if there's a car coming. Which is really nice when you're out running around on the road. So
Tom, those might be second best to mine. How much those cost? I see you with them. They look nice. They look pretty good, and that makes some sense. So I may never get rid of these, but the basic cost for the ones you're talking about.
around $100.
Okay.
They're Bluetooth. They're wireless. Which I don't know. Have you heard of Bluetooth? Are you familiar with that technology?
Yeah, isn't that cavities people get?
Yeah. So there's no wire going to your phone, which is nice, especially when you're running. So there's nothing to kind of get tangled up in or anything like that. You don't have to fish wires down your shirt, all that kind of good stuff. But they're super comfortable. They work really well. I really like them. They're about $100. They're also waterproof and sweat proof. So like, you don't have to worry about if you're out running and you get caught in the rain, they'll work fine. No big deal there. So I really like them. They're made by a company called Aeropex. And I think they just go by Aftershocks. I like not having something in my ears when I'm out on the road, because I like I think it's safer. I believe it's safer to be able to hear the world around you when you're out running on the street, because you never know. The other thing is I also don't like running with in-ear headphones, because you get that sort of like heartbeat like thing when you have the in-ear headphones that kind of block sound and fit in there firmly. And I don't really like that either. I find it kind of distracting. So yeah, I don't know. That's my thought. I would encourage people to look them up if they're looking for athletic headphones and aren't in a position to steal a pair from American Airlines anytime soon, like Dom. So anyway, Jason, Beth, welcome to the room, guys. Glad you guys are here. We're going to get to you right now. So the topic is how to present well on video, right? We're talking about presenting well on video. So I started out by saying that I believe that it's, you kind of have to approach it with an audience first perspective. So who are you talking to? Then make sure they can hear you, and then make sure that they can see you clearly. So that's kind of my approach to how to sort of very basic level, how to present on video. So Jason, what would you say to people? What's your number one idea or thing that you think people need to keep in mind to help them present well on video?
Rehearse before you even punch, even on live. Go in front of a mirror. What is the exact message that's in it for them? Not you, not me. Something I discovered that I believe or I've looked for and people are interested in. So, just when you start out your video, tell them exactly what's going on, an exact question, a punch or a pitch, and then hook their attention with a surprise that maybe most people or many people are not aware of. So you're giving that in less than 30 seconds or probably even a minute. You give that right away. And then it's like, or I've heard other places, Sean and John have said, set the table and, and get ready to start dishing out the courses and make it purposeful. Don't make it over dramatic, in video, because people tune in so fast. They do. I mean, if you look at most average analytics, many people don't stay past 10, 15 minutes unless it's a DIY. So know your exact message story, that it is captivating, it's interesting, you're moving it along, and you're not searching to get to a conclusion. So that's what I would say.
Nice, man. Nice. I appreciate that. I think that's really good advice. And especially where you started with that, the rehearsing, right? I mean, that's like, I think that's incredibly, incredibly important, and something that people don't do is like, just give yourself a dry run, right? Especially if you're doing a short video, give yourself a dry run, or don't script yourself, but give yourself, if you're doing a live and you're going to be talking for a little while, give yourself some bullet points, right? Or a guideline. Like, I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about this, and then I'm going to go to this. I mean, Dom and I did that. Full disclosure, Dom and I did that with this show, right? Like, that's exactly like we created what we call a show clock, right? Like, I mean, that's the industry term for it, but we created a show clock. And so I can glance up and I can see what time is it. And I can look up at the show clock and I can say, okay, it's 10:24. We're coming up to 10:25. 10:25 is when we start doing the wrap up and closing the show for the day. So like, that's my show clock. So we're creeping up on that. Dom just asked me if I'm ready for the wrap up, and full disclosure, just being authentic, I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about yet.
Hey, it happens, Tom. There's nothing wrong with that. I wanted to go back to Jason on the purposeful thing, just on this thought. So Jason, I love what you said there. I love the idea of practicing. I love the idea of a couple notes. I love the idea of, I'm going to hit this, this, and this. I'm gonna hit this, this, and this. I might even tell the people, I'm gonna give you 5 tips. I'm gonna give you 3 tips. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna share with this today. Me personally, you want to make me mad? Ramble and waste my time. I need to know what's going on. I feel like sometimes I'm gonna clean this up here. Sometimes I feel that if I pass away someday, and somebody has wasted my time, I want to go back to that person and be angry at them because you wasted 5 minutes of my life. So to Jason's point, purposeful. a little outline, a little bit of practice. Don't just get on it. Well, what are we going to talk about today? What are we going to do now? Come on, man. Your audience, to go back to John Jay, your audience deserves better than that. Show up with a plan and deliver on it. So thank you, Jason.
It's a big thing about rehearsing. And just to add, there are plenty of tools. Like I found a tool for a prompter using my iPad, right? You can, many people in their broadcasts, they get sidetracked very easy. Like if there's someone, say like you're interviewing somebody and they have a counterpoint or they have a point that's kind of going out left, remembering where you're at in the conversation in your brief, whether it's an interview or just you solo, you've got to remember the points that where you were last at. Where are you punching from that point to the next and go forward? So look at the tools you can use. It's, some people say don't be too scripted or whatever. I'm going to tell you, if you are in front of a stage of 50,000 people, you're going to be more embarrassed in front of those 50,000 people when you're ill prepared, when you don't know what you're going to say, when you're just winging it. But when you imagine you're in the arena and I'm in the mirror and I'm imagining 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 people, I literally am thinking I'm not only going to slap you in the face, I'm going to throw water on top of you. And then I'm going to say, guess what I've got for you? I'm a magician. I'm not going to lay everything out just like that. You have to think. People are so distracted with so many different notifications, blips, devices, and everything else. And you only get them for a limited space and time. So either you make it the best you can and believe in it, or you're going to fail by guessing and wandering and just trying to connect and being meaningful. So I'll tell you that.
Thank you, Jason. What did they say? Planning. Failure to plan is planning to fail. So 100%. All right. It is time. It's that beautiful time of day where we go to our friend Tom for a wrap up. Tom, summon something that brings it all together for us. Thank you all for being here. Tom, what do you got for us?
All right. So here's what we got. I'm gonna give you guys a little exercise. It's something I've given you guys before, but it's been a minute since we talked about it, and it's really appropriate given the context of this conversation. So I'm going to share it again. First thing I'm going to say though, just in response to what Jason was saying before I give you this exercise, is teleprompter reading is a skill. If you're going to use a teleprompter, practice like 1,000 times more than you think you need to, because I'm telling you right now, the vast majority of people who use a teleprompter are terrible at it because they don't practice. And it's really clear that they're reading off of a screen and it does not feel authentic. It does not feel like they're speaking to you, even if they've written it themselves. So whatever you do, if you're going to use a teleprompter, practice. It is absolutely a developable skill, but you have to put in the time and effort to develop it. Now, I'm going to give you guys this exercise real quick. It's a 3-part exercise. It's something you can repeat multiple times a week. It literally takes a handful of minutes to do. What I want you to do to practice your sort of presentation skills on camera is I want you can use your phone for this. Real simple, right? Use your phone for this. Get your phone out. I want you to tell a story in a minute. A 60-second story, right? Tell a 60-second story. And then what I want you to do is I want you to play it back to yourself 3 times, right? So in total, this whole exercise takes 4 minutes, right? We've all got 4 minutes to spare here and there during the week. So this is an easy one to do, right? So you record that 60-second story, and then you're going to watch it back 3 times. First time you're going to watch it back, you're going to turn the volume all the way up. You're going to put the phone face down on a table and you're just going to listen, right? And what you're going to listen for is simply what you like and what you don't like. Don't be overcritical. Don't be hyper specific. Don't get nitpicky. Just what you like and what you don't like. That's all I want you to do is just think about it, right? Then you're going to watch it. You're going to play the video again. Same thing, right? In terms of what you're thinking about, but this time you're going to turn the volume all the way down and you're just going to watch yourself. So you're going to be looking at your body language, how you emote, how you're making eye contact with the camera, right? Like your overall physical presence as you're telling this 60-second story. And I want you to, again, just think about what you like and what you don't like. Don't get hypercritical. Don't get overly specific. What you like and what you don't like. And then the last time you watch it back, I want you to watch it back with the sound. Same thing one more time, what you like and what you don't like. And if you repeat that exercise over and over and over again, it's going to help you do a couple of things. One, it's going to develop your storytelling skills. And two, it's going to help you hone your presence on video, because you will automatically, naturally, as you do this over and over again, start to do more of the things you like, that you've noted that you like, and less of the things that you didn't like, right? Over time. So repeat that exercise a couple of times a week. We've all got 4 minutes to spare here and there. Repeat that exercise a couple of times a week. And over time, you will see a clear, definitive improvement in your ability to present on video, right? From a messaging perspective, from an interactive perspective, and from an auditory perspective, right? Because you're going to make sure that you can hear yourself clearly, right? So that's all I got for this week. I want to say thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you to Dom for co-hosting with me. As always, appreciate all of you. Appreciate everything you guys bring to the table, for being a part of this community, for everybody watching on other parts of the internet, whether you're on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube. We appreciate you. I saw my friend Chris commenting out there on YouTube. So thank you for being here, Chris. Appreciate you guys. We will see you next Wednesday morning at 9:30 a.m. on Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. Until then, everybody have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you. Bye-bye now.